Good afternoon, America. Today is May the 19th, 2026. And time now is 3:33 p.m. I want to talk a little bit about something which is very well known. I looked at a report the other day, an AI generated photograph of a being that was supposedly walking alongside Donald Trump and many other dignitaries at Area 51. And I looked at this AI generated creature, supposedly alien identified by Trump. I know it's an AI generated image of a supposed even or gray, as so many people talk about it. But let me explain something to you, the American people. What we have on Earth is basically a reptilian race, and they've been around for a very, very long time. I would say much more before Noah in the flood, but even farther than that, even much farther than that, much earlier than that. Due to the fact that they have, how would you say, cousins in the Draco solar system, and it's way beyond the Andromeda galaxy. But they're not going to tell you that. They won't tell you about the story of the reptilians, because they've been cohabiting with human life for such a long time. Now, I'm not going to get into details, but I can get into details about the reptilian race and why they are here on Earth and how they became inhabitants of Earth and what they were running from. Basically, they were running from humanoids, their arch nemesis, the Pleiadians, which we also have here on Earth, basically. Now, we've all heard about time travels, or we talk about warp systems, or black holes, or what they call stargates. Now, these are open doors to other dimensions. Basically, they talk about the opening of some stargates in Iraq and in Iran, and that's why we were there in the first place, to obtain some of the technology that was buried under those basic mountains and structures, infrastructures. So we don't talk about that much, because the American scientists are very hush hush about things like that. They do not want to talk about stuff. Astrophysicists, that's why we've had so many of those astrophysicists murdered or killed or assassinated, and some other gentlemen and ladies who have supposedly deceased. But I'm going to read something from from a certain books I've collected throughout my years. I'm going to talk about the Reptilian Reich. Now, we all know about Adolf Hitler and his Mein Kampf, his Bible and his Mein Kampf Bible, and then I have also the House of War, the struggle between Christendom and the Caliphate, and then there's the Chinese book of Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Now, like I said before, I'm a collector of many old books and forbidden knowledge and some other stuff. I do a lot of research. I like research. And I like to dig into knowledge. That's what it's for. To learn, beside the point that they want us to be stupid. My father always said to me, he said, listen, son, read as much as you can, obtain as much wisdom and knowledge as you can, so that no one else can tell you. And I believe that is so true in this time and age, where certain elitists love to hush people too much, when they don't hush themselves. I'm going to be very specific what I'm going to talk about, because this involves the elitists themselves. They like to elbow with the reptilian species and race. That's how they get their money and their billions, technologies, and all that good stuff that they obtain from them. Little favors. Do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. That kind of sort of deal. But I'm going to talk to you about Adolf Hitler himself. How he became the original Antichrist. Now this is not going to support some of the evangelical beliefs that have been running around about the species, which are the reptilians, and who want the evangelicals and the Catholic Church to believe that they are demons. But they're a reptilian race. That's basically it. So they use the illusion of religion and imagination to entice the human being. You see, the reptilian has a trait and a gift. They can create illusions in the human mind. They can make the human think that they are also human. In other words, they make them think that they're basically blind. They feed us with chemicals in our foods and in the water that we drink, through those chemtrails that you keep watching over the skies and so forth. Promote lead, which we inhale into our bodies and block our pineal gland. Now, Jim Carrey was talking about that a while back, and he got they say that he also disappeared and became someone said that he became a clone afterwards. And a lot of Hollywood stars have disappeared because of certain knowledge that they try to warn people about. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the Reptilian Reich. I'm going to start off with this, the Nazis on the moon and Mars. Oh, you didn't know that, did we? Did you? That we have the Nazis are on the moon and Mars. Yes, we are. Yes, we do. And that's why we are not allowed to go onto the moon or onto Mars. And let me continue. Let me speak a little bit about here. For the next 10 years, from 1923 to 1933, important financial and political communications or connections were made for Hitler by the Reptilians. These were connections that the ex-corporal could not have ever made for himself. He lived a charmed life, just as he had in World War I. His famous book, Mein Kampf, which I've already shown you, Mein Kampf, was written for him by Karl Haushofer. Excuse the verbiage. Even the title was not his. Finally, in 1933, he found himself as Chancellor of Germany. And his Nazi party came into control of the German government with the burning of the Reichstag and the passage of the Enabling Act of 1933. You know something? I just thought about the question of our White House. Why all of a sudden it's changing and it wants to be, they want to restore it or tear it down and build it up again. Think. Anyway, Hitler became a modern day Caesar. And like Caesar, he insisted on being hailed in obeisance by the populace. It was during this 10-year period that the Nazis were made aware of the reptilian base under 2 miles of ice in Antarctica. It also was revealed to them that this was to be their new home, Antarctica. That's where all the secrecy about Antarctica. We're not allowed over there. It also was revealed to them that this was to be their new home, that they would eventually join their reptilian compatriots in Antarctica. In other words, the Nazis would. And would then be given spacefaring science and technology, while Germany itself would be reduced to ashes. In other words, they would find a new Berlin in Antarctica, and Germany would be ashes. Now imagine this. Think about this. We obtained Greenland. Right? And our world, America, goes to ashes. Think about that. Where is the pattern here? There's a pattern. I understand, I'm trying to give you a pattern. Listen to what I'm saying. Reptilian base under 2 miles of ice on Antarctica. It was also revealed to them that this was to be their new home, that they would eventually join their reptilian compatriots in Antarctica. It would then be given spacefaring science and technology, while Germany itself would be reduced to ashes. This was known because the reptilians were in possession of a chronovisor, a device for viewing probable future events as early as 1943, when the American Army landed on Anzio Beach in Italy. Hitler knew that the war in Europe was lost. And it was then that he had Martin Bormann build him a new home at Inalco near Bariloche in Argentina. Once having placed him in power, the reptilians paved the way for a fascist takeover over the planet. That's what's going on now. They want this world to be a fascist dominion. So they want to be a takeover of the planet. This was their ultimate plan, although they never expected to win this war. They had other fish to fry. The other fish was us. That's the other fish. That's why things are going towards the fascism. First and foremost, Hitler needed an army. In 1933, Germany was under the strict control of the Treaty of Versailles to limit their armed forces to 100,000 men for all military units combined. All they really had were a lot of dispirited, aging veterans of World War I. That's something we're having. And young, inexperienced draftees. The reptilian scientists had a history of claiming, cloning, biotechnology stretching back thousands of years in Draco. Remember I said Draco Galaxy, or the Draco solar system. The cousins to the Earth reptilians, and we do have them in the elitist species or elitist caste. Draco, their home world, it was not difficult for them to produce a cloned army of 1 million fighting men of just the right age in their underground laboratories and on their spaceships. Remember I said about Jim Carrey, cloned. Now what would happen if that were to happen to some prospective leaders on this planet? They would essentially take over the world. Now, I'm not going to talk a little bit or more about this because this leads to ex-super soldiers who have since, how would you say, retired from such activities. I'm going to say this to you, the American people. Be wise. Be wiser than normal. There are things that are happening on this planet which are changing. Fast forward. Remember what I said. They were, how would you say, grooming Hitler to become the Antichrist at that time. Now, who is to say that they're not grooming someone else on this planet, in this age, to become a super Antichrist, a world leader? They need control. They need to control government. They need to put someone in to control the rest. So think about that. And think about that cell phone that you have. Why do they need this? Exchange it every so often, every 6 to 1 year tenure of their cell phone when the cell phone works. Think about that. I also wonder about those cell phones that kept blowing up in Iraq and in Afghanistan. In Iraq, basically, where a soldier would be carrying a cell phone and all of a sudden it would blow up. Where did they get that technology from? Where did they get the drones from? Where did we get the drones from? And where have we gotten those anti-gravity discs, which we call UFOs or ovnis in Spanish? Think. Anti-gravity has been here on this planet since the days of Hitler. That's what happened up in Antarctica with Admiral McKinley and his naval crew. They had sunk ships when they attacked Antarctica because they believed there were a Nazi regime up there, or a regiment. But in reality, they had the Reptilians and the Nazis working together. Now think about this with Trump and his alien friend who they disguised as a gray alien in an AI image. Think, America. And they're going to be doing much more. They're going to be doing a lot of illusions, a lot of deceptive lies. Think about that, America. And know what you need to do. Another message I have for you is strengthen your families. Teach your children self-defense. Teach each member of your family how to defend themselves and to survive. We've got a long battle ahead. We're to survive as a human race. I hope you're listening. God bless all of you. Stay strong and fists up. God bless you.